Okay, so today's topic is transportation for my party rental company. And this has been kind of a challenge. When I started off and I was only delivering, 8 chairs and 1 table or something like that, I already had a pickup, so that was no big deal. And I even grew to where I could do more. I did 50 or 60 chairs and 5 tables, that kind of thing. And I would occasionally, because I had gotten the tables that were the 6-foot rectangles that would fold in half, I even did some deliveries out of the back of my wife's little Ford Explorer SUV. And that worked really good for a few months. And then we grew enough, actually for a little over a year, and we grew enough that I was doing some bigger events and got my first couple of weddings, and just really couldn't do it. It wasn't practical to do it in the pickup anymore. It's really hard climbing up and down over the tailgate, that kind of thing. So I started using, I had a little 6x12 enclosed trailer that I had bought back when we were trying to start an arcade company, and I'd used to haul some arcade games around and put them in storage in my garage and that kind of thing. And so it was just a natural move to start using that. And I've been using my own personal pickup and the trailer that I owned, that I bought with my own personal money, and it didn't belong to the company, to do the deliveries for the company for the last year and a half or so. And it's kind of been a problem because as we got bigger, when we got a couple of really big events, it was more weight than the trailer was really designed to handle. But I didn't really know that because the trailer has a pretty good heavy-duty axle that's rated for a lot of weight. And it's got brakes on the trailer, which is usually something that are only found on heavier duty trailers. Kind of odd for a single axle trailer. But the frame of the trailer underneath was not really all that great. It wasn't designed to handle the weight that we were putting on it for bigger events, or like if we had a Saturday where we had 6 or 7 deliveries and you're trying to cram them all into one thing because you don't have time to go back to the warehouse and do a second load and get back out again and get to everybody when they want the things for their events. And so what happened is, over time, I bent a couple of pieces on the bottom of the trailer, and I also broke the back frame around the door at the bottom. So I took it to a friend of mine who was a welder, and he welded the frame back together, and it was good for a couple of weeks. But then the joint between a couple of places where the boards come together on the floor of the trailer started to feel really spongy, and it would sink down as you rolled something heavy across it on a cart. And found out that the couple of the cross pieces on the frame had bent, and they weren't under that joint anymore. And so I took the trailer apart, took the floor up, and bent those cross pieces back as close as I could get them to original. And then I put the floor decking back down and screwed it back into those pieces. And worked good for another 2 months, and the frame around the back door broke again. And so I took it back to my friend the welder, and he said, all right, I can weld it for you again, and I'm going to put some extra metal on the outside of it and extend it up, and some bracing, and we're going to see what we can do to try to make this last a little bit longer. But this trailer is just really not designed for what you're doing with it. And I said, yeah, I know. And he was right. And so I had him weld that frame back again, and I took the deck up again, and I bent those pieces back into their original position again, because they once that back piece breaks, then the other two just start bending. And then I built a wooden frame inside it. I screwed a bunch of 2x4s to those metal pieces going across the trailer, and then I also put chunks of 2x4 in between those pieces of 2x4 that were going across, going front to back, so that there was some bracing so that those boards can't bend anymore. And it is working right now, but anytime I go over like a serious depression with the trailer is long enough in some places that it kind of drags on the ground, and that wood's already starting to get chewed up a little bit, and that probably is also part of what contributed to that back frame breaking, the bottom piece around the door. But I realized that my friend was absolutely right. We were using and abusing this trailer, and it wasn't going to last forever, and I'm going to keep it and use it for some light duty deliveries and maybe just some storage, but it's not a long-term solution. And I thought about getting another bigger, heavier trailer, but there's a couple of problems with that. Much as I've practiced, I am not good at backing up a trailer. I can do it, but it takes me 4 or 5 times as long as anybody else would, maybe more. And trailers are really expensive here. To get a bigger one that was big enough to do what we need to do, and heavy duty enough to do what we need to do, was going to start at about $7 grand for a used one, which that's a lot of money. So I started looking into other possibilities, and I decided what I really need is either a box truck with either a lift gate or a ramp on the back of it. I really wanted one with a lift gate, but as I was looking around, I found one that I think will do what I need it to, and it doesn't have a lift gate, but it does have a ramp. So I don't quite have enough cash on hand to buy it right now. I'm waiting for some checks in the mail from a company that we've been doing a lot of tent work for, in putting up tents in their parking lot for parking lot sales. It's a local retailer, and so as soon as those checks come in, I will not only have enough to buy this truck, but also pay for either 6 months or a year of insurance ahead of time, and buy a couple of more pieces of equipment that I need for rentals, and pay another couple of months rent ahead, so that on my shop, so that I'm not paying rent on the shop during the slow season in the winter. So I guess the point of this is I've had to adapt and grow, and I will continue to adapt and grow when it comes to my vehicle and delivery situation for the company. And this is a smaller box truck. It's a 16-foot box truck. and it's not in perfect condition, but it is in serviceable condition, and I think I can get 4 to 5 years out of it, and it's at a reasonable price. And just buying the truck over time, if I can get 5 years out of that, then it'll cost me about $1,200 a year to actually buy the truck. That doesn't include the maintenance, fuel, insurance, that kind of thing, which I don't think is too bad. But eventually I'm going to have to buy a second box truck because I want to be able to do deliveries 2 at a time, or maybe 3 at a time with the trailer, and maybe get a bigger one so we can do big events, festivals, that kind of thing, or handle really, really big, heavy weekends during graduation season when there are a lot of deliveries. And I've kind of been planning this on stages. As soon as my friend the first time told me that this trailer was not built for handling what we're doing, I started thinking immediately, we need a box truck. And I'm already thinking about the next box truck and what we need to do to grow the company. So you need to be planning ahead of time for whatever your company needs, whether it's equipment, whether it's employees, whether it's vehicles. You got to plan ahead and save your money. I'm within a couple of $100 of having the money to just outright buy this truck in my company's business account. And if I get these other checks coming in, which would be a total of about $4,000 in checks, I'll have way more than enough, like I said, to buy the truck, put the insurance on it, pay a couple of months rent on my shop, and still have a little bit of operating capital. I just can't. I could come up with the money to buy the box truck today, but then I don't really have a whole lot in the account to buy the things that I need to do the things that I need to just keep the company running on a day-to-day basis. And I'm just not willing to do that yet. And I am taking a little bit of a risk. The guy could sell the truck before I buy it, and then I'd be back to square one looking for a truck. But I think that's a risk that I'm going to have to take. If I do end up buying it, I will do a video showing the new truck for our company. So that's it until next time. And remember, it's always a good time to have a party.